Elsa M'Bala, welcome.
Yeah. Welcome, thank you.
Thank you. How are you? How have you been? I tend to start the interview with really asking people how they've been doing the past year. It's so rare that we have the chance to meet in person after being tested and negative. Like everything is okay, mask free, so we can sit. And I want to know how have you been? You have a small daughter, I think?
Yes, 2.5.
2.5 years old.
Yes.
So how are you navigating this time?
It's definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
I'm a first-time mom. I'm a single mom. I'm a black mom in Germany with a black child. I just feel like this is all a lot, but I kind of feel prepared for it. It's quite strange. I feel like also because before coming to Berlin, I lived 5 years in Cameroon.
Yeah.
And it made me rougher, I have to say.
Because of less support or like less...
Exactly, less support from the government artistically. And just because I've been through that, I feel like everything that is given to me here I can handle.
So you had the rough preparation for it.
Exactly,
and now
exactly. Yeah, I really feel blessed in that way, that I actually had the courage back then to say, okay, I'm going to go back to Cameroon and live there. Yeah. Against my family approval. Like they were all like, this is not a good idea. I understand now that I'm older, I understand why they said that. But back then I was just like, no, I'm gonna do this. And it definitely helped me in that way. I was also able to get more into my artistic practice, which is a blessing because I don't think I would have been able to do that here in Germany.
Why?
Money. Money was and is the biggest issue. In Cameroon, I was living rent-free at my mom's house. So there was, that strain was not there, so I was just able to record people, explore how to use DAWs, basically music program, how to work with it. I'd never been to a music school or anything. I had never been too big into computer either, so it was really a learning experience, and I needed the time to be able to create that and do that.
So we've already dived deep into the actual topic, which is of course your artistic practice, and it's very much characterized by using sound and electro, right? Like
yes, definitely electronic.
Those are two important components. Where I actually think you are in Berlin, you're in a great environment when it comes to electro. I don't know about the history of the music, electro music in Berlin, but it's definitely, I feel, an environment in which you can probably blossom more. I don't know. Do you think that, how is Berlin supporting, particularly your medium?
My medium, yeah, definitely. Like if you think about a capital in the world where electronic music has been and is and will be on the rise, I think Berlin is the best one. I still think they need to be more inclusive, that scene. It can be really redundant also, like this typical four tack that you get into electronic music. For me, it was important to kind of bring my own heritage into it. I love electronic music, all type, drum and bass, all the type that kind of plays with that. And one has to remember also that electronic music was actually created by black people, which is something that few people know. Like, Detroit were the places where black people were able to explore this genre first and then bring it out to the world. I think it's also a way to kind of give reverence to those who came before me in terms of electronic music, but also in terms of my personal heritage coming from Cameroon, being an African immigrant in Germany, growing up here. So my mixture of electronic music with traditional African sound is definitely a way to like reclaim or recreate maybe my identity and feel a bit more whole. Yeah, I would say.
You said earlier that you moving between Germany and Cameroon and also choosing to go back even against your family's advice helped you also in informing your practice. And I was wondering what it has to do with the narrative and story, because I know that it's also an important component of your practice to tell those stories, but use the medium of sound and music for it. But it sounded like it was almost like an urge, like you had to go back, or you had to keep moving between spaces in a diasporic way for you to grow artistically as well.
Definitely.
Why? Like what? How did it help you? What did it do to your growth?
Well, I came to Germany when I was 10, and I went to a European school. And I think
where did you grow up in Germany again?
Karlsruhe.
Karlsruhe.
I like to say Karlsruhe, but actually it was Egenstein, but nobody knows Egenstein.
Which I don't know, yeah.
So I say
but
Karlsruhe.
I'm sure it's a beautiful, it can be maybe a beautiful place.
It is. It's definitely green. One of my favorite memories growing up there was definitely putting on my Discman and walking through villages and
like with
farms.
Those old CDs?
Yes, I used to have those. Yes, I am old. I used to have those.
These, time flies these days. So
exactly, but I used to have like a little booklet and with CDs.
I remember those booklets.
Yeah,
yes,
you put the CDs.
Yeah.
So and go with it for a walk and walk through those forests and just listen to sound. I think that helped me a lot because I'm a city child, right? I grew up in Yaoundé before coming to Germany. Yaoundé is one of the biggest capital on the African continent. It's crowded, it's loud. So coming to this German village, all of a sudden, it created a break, I think, even within me, that I was only aware years later. But I guess while creating my artistic practice, I was also just trying to find my voice as a human in this world, and moving through those diasporic cultures, as you said, helped me shape it. Like it helped me a lot to be living in Jamaica for almost a year because I was able to encounter Rastafarian culture and just understand also the struggle behind Black power, Black empowerment, and that was important for me definitely because then after Jamaica I went back to Cameroon and there was no trace of like Black empowerment whatsoever in Cameroon, and of course I had to question why, and I didn't understand it, and then I had to retrace it within myself, right? Like, how was I brought up? Why did I even feel the need to look for Black empowerment at the first place? And it illuminated something very deep. I always love history. I always love to learn. That's something that since I'm small, like I love to read. I'm a book nerd, but I'm a people person at the same time, funny enough. And but I never got that knowledge of colonialism, and basically the beginning of globalism, like how it kind of started in capitalism. It's such an important part of the history, how to understand even the world today. To understand capitalism, you have to understand colonialism and how it affected people and what was the main thought behind it. It was just not to enslave Black people. It was definitely to have cheap labor, a practice that is still going on today. And I think for me it was important to understand that and then to free myself from whatever burden I associated with my Blackness. And yeah, hopefully strive for freedom. I hope.
Exactly. You moved to Germany when you were 12.
Yes, 10, around 10.
10, around 10. And then you were saying earlier that you this whole process of growing into your artistic practice also entailed, you dealing with your Blackness but also your specific history, as a Cameroonian living in Germany. I wondered how that coming to Germany, was kind of like a scissor in your growth too, being in this predominantly white country and dealing with a lot of projections, I would assume. Yeah. And you were also saying that you experienced some kind of splits, it caused the splits. Yeah. How did that feel like? What was it like?
It was like you are constantly looking for your real self. Like you are never truly, like I said, I'm a people person, so I always want to give like 110% when I'm with someone. I'm one of those old school people who actually be like, no phones, let's talk. And I always felt like, oh, I could give more, but I forgot that part of me that could be the person that gives more without actually counting. I guess it's also just growing up. When you're young, there are just less issues, I would say. I came here at the age of 10 and really at the edge also of puberty, which is heavy.
Does it ever stop? I think it never stops. You can go into puberty and stay in it all your life.
Yes, I think some people get stuck there. So it can be rough, I think. And so it was all that. It was not just finding my African or looking for my African heritage or what does it mean even to be African, but also how do I portray myself as a female, black female, and also having so few role models to look up to. It's something that happens subconsciously, so you don't really realize, but you're kind of constantly trying to twist yourself into a position that is not right. And
like conforming, trying to conform to
yeah,
something that's not really your form.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that you realize also later on when you're kind of out of that situation. You're like, oh my God, I was just stressing myself. Why did I do that? But in the moment, you are just really trying to like be part of a group, be part of a society, integrate. And I think that took so much of my energy back then that why I also went on this trip to kind of find other versions of myself outside of Germany. Because I felt like Germany was not ready at the time, literally. I felt like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when I was studying here, I felt like there was not a space, was not created for me, and it would take at least 20, if not 40 years for it to happen. Luckily, we have internet now, and things are going so much faster, which is a good and a bad thing, of course. But I think it, in that way, was positive because the news, we all look for America for inspiration or for dreams. And one of the good things that happened is that the Afro-American community is very strong in voicing their need. And it's something that sweep over to Europe, luckily, because it gave us as African people in Europe a foundation to stand on when we speak about things like racism or colorism or all type of ism.
Yeah, isms, and it's the knowledge that comes, that kind of like comes over. It's the culture too. It's so much content, and it's very empowering. But then I'm also wondering, and I don't know how you feel or felt about it when you were in Germany, that it is empowering, but then at the same time you are in Germany in Eggenstorf, sorry, Eggenstein, close to Karlsruhe. Yeah. And you are also having to deal with that reality, and there is, America is like kind of like saying hello, but then you're dealing with your day-to-day life. Yeah. And how did you navigate that? Yeah, how did you?
I ran away.
Ultimately.
Because I felt like since I cannot, I would have this conversation about where it comes to, where do you come from with people, and I would say Cameroon, of course. And then, you have this and this, or you don't have this and this. And I will find myself trying to I will carrying the continent on my back, trying to fight for the continent, be like, no, but we actually did this and this. And all the things in the bio market, they're actually from Africa, most of them, and so much more cheaper. And, so I was constantly trying to prove myself to people and taking the whole continent with me. But look, this country is I had to study also to be ready to conversate with people. It was a lot of work. And I wish that on nobody, because as a young person, you just need to enjoy your life and figure out what you actually, figure out who you are inside and what you actually need to do to better your life and not trying to better the world. And I tapped myself being in that place, and didn't feel comfortable. So I ran, as I said, I went back to Cameroon because I felt like there would not be those questions around my heritage. Funny enough, other question came. Of course.
Which were?
Which were things like, why do you speak German so well, especially? Like, why are you so much into books? Why are you such a nerd? Like, you know, or not even directly, but it's things that I started noticing about myself that I wasn't able to notice here because I was so much into fight or flight mode. Yeah, and once I went back, it was just like all of that fell, and I was able to kind of shine from the inside and actually see what I'm dealing with. And of course, it's not all pretty and nice, but a relief came with that because there was okay, this is me, without all the whiteness and without the anti-whiteness that I am trying to fight against. This is just me, and it felt so liberating that I wish that for everybody, literally. Whatever your color, the color of your skin, you need to go to that place.
It sounds like this, you know, a certain metamorphosis every human being should go through, but then there are certain people, because of power structures, people of African descent, people like us who are living in this place called Germany, who are forced to go through it very early sometimes. But in the end, it is a deeply, deeply human process.
Exactly,
you know?
and very necessary also.
Very necessary, And then, you know, I was just thinking, like, it's so complex and so layered, and it involves different nations and time zones. And then you found sound as a medium to navigate, you know, because sound is something that is breaking through space and time, and it can bring together different tonalities and very complex. It can also be very brutal, like the Berlin techno sometimes. Not so much my taste, but you know, it also has its relevance, I guess. But it has many layers.
Yes.
So is that why you chose it? What did you find? Yeah, what did you find in sound?
I can shape it. I can shape something invisible. For me, that's power. It's maybe I have a strange. It's magic. For me, even better than power, it's magic, because power comes also with people that are over and under, I think. Magic is something that is just like ding. And for me, sound is that. Sound is not visible, and I can create so many, and I can recreate history, as I said. Like, I don't just have to rely on those slavery stories. I can actually shape other stuff. And that empowered me. Like, it gave me something to kind of also put my focus on. And it enriched me on such a level. It's just, I mean, I had to like learn a lot of I'm still learning a lot of tricks and things and hardwares and software and whatever. But at the base, it's really my aim to be part of this narrative in a way that is not destructive, but helps to shape or build a new perspective. I would like to share with people really a different version of what we all have been listening to. I think we are all a little bit tired of that narrative.
So you make electronic music, which means that you not only make use of your most ultimate technology, which is your voice, but you use this extra help, let's call it that, that support, which, you know, offers different dimensions, more complexity to the narratives you tell through sound. And I was wondering why you make use of that, and how does it help you?
It's more fun. It's so much more fun. I try to go into the studio or in front of my instrument completely naked, like no judgment, no expectation. As I found that being the most freeing way to engage with myself, because at the end it's really with myself that I'm playing first. I'm just blessed that people also started to indulge in it and enjoy it. Like when I started, I remember in Cameroon was really trying to capture the vibe. Like I would record people without their knowing in the taxis or on the streets. I also discovered myself being like really a loner. Like I would walk and just get lost in streets, and I would be very happy when I found something that reminded me of my childhood there that I would try to record somehow, especially sound. And I went home and trying to build those vibes into songs. And that's how it kind of got where it is now, because I started as a singer-songwriter. I'm a guitar player and I sing, and it was really fulfilling, but being in Cameroon, I noticed how it was not strong anymore. It's, as I said, Cameroon is, Yaoundé especially, is the capital. Is very loud, it's very colorful, it smells, it lives, literally, and I wanted to capture that, and it could not be done, it couldn't have been done with a song and a guitar. So,
and like just some basic, quote unquote, basic lyrics.
Yeah,
and
no. I did that too,
Yeah.
which was nice, where I used Cam Franglais, which is Creole Cameroonian language, a mixture of Cameroonian language, English and French. And I love that because also, of course, you remind me of where I'm coming from and being all slick and spoken word music, you know. I did that, but I wanted to capture the vibe. And for that, sound is so perfect because it just infiltrates, right? It goes everywhere. It slits under doors. It just wanders. And I was very blessed to be there and to actually be able to capture it and also understand why I miss it so much. Eggenstein has nothing of that kind. And there was the break that happened within me. It was a sound thing. It was the quietness all of a sudden, and it came with a fear. I realized later on that my anxiety literally came from the fact that I could hear myself clearly all of a sudden.
What kind of fear? Like fear of what?
Fear of stillness. It's just really that. It was this fear of stillness. Also, me being in this fight or flight mode was literally that. Like, if I stand still, what will happen? There was just this fear of not knowing what's next. And it came because it was so quiet, right? When it's noisy, you can still be like in the noise, you can jump around. But once it's quiet, you have to deal with the stillness, right? And for me, going back to Cameroon and capturing it was a way to reappropriate that noise within myself, to kind of like swallow it and make it part of me so that the fear would ultimately go away. I was talking about magic before, so in my head it was literally like that, trying to get rid of anything that was claiming the fear, and the electronic was just an amazing way to kind of indulge in that. You know, you can record, you can slice it, something that you cannot see. What? And then you can like layer it and create a completely different story without actually seeing it, and then people listen to it and believe something else, and somebody else would listen to something else, and you're just like, so for me, like a whole world opened once I started doing this, and it just filled me so much more than when I was a singer-songwriter, so to speak. Yeah.
So it sounds also very cleansing.
It is. It is. I will definitely, like, when I do my sound now, it's definitely a practice in listening. I like to say that I'm inviting the audience to listen. It's not I'm coming with something that would just please you or create an emotion. No, I'm coming with sounds. Let it like wash you and maybe cleanse you. But I'm not coming with an emotion. I think I wanted to get away from that. Coming with a particular, like when you create a song, right, you would come with an, like, for me it was always like I had this emotion, this feeling, and then trying to like write it down and play it. And then that's what you give back to the audience. And I think at one point I got a bit bored not just a bit. I got really bored of doing that because I also realized that I want to be honest. I want to be honest on stage, and that's why I also improvise a lot, because I think the audience deserve authenticity and honesty, even if it's not perfect. And some will criticize, of course, but I think for some it will feel liberating. You can always, we have all internet, like if you want to hear a perfect song with A, B, chorus, everything set up, you can always find one. But I hope that when people come and listen to my sound, there's an open-mindedness that comes with it, and when they go home, they feel refreshed.
So in 2018, when you were showing your piece Voices Unheard in the Biennale, the Berlin Biennale, what I'm interested in is how does it feel for you to also present your work in Germany and in a German context now, after all these experiences you've been through, these almost like a metamorphosis we earlier mentioned, and now you're back and you have your own child and you work in an art context, art environment, and you share these stories, and sometimes they're raw, sometimes they're polished, but they can take on various forms. What does it mean though to share it within Germany now in 2021 or in 2018, for example, during the biennial?
People are people, to be honest. Like I had to go to that whole cleansing process to come to that. It didn't come like, yeah, you're all one, everything's fine. No, but I had to go to that. I realized it helped me in terms of just like, I started in Cameroon doing that, and it was important for me. I think just in terms of like, I'm capturing these sounds for you guys. It's the sound that you know. And I think it was beautiful for me to start there, because there were people who like reacted and they were like, oh wow. And just to get that, I was like, okay, I might be onto something. And it gave me the strength that I needed to basically be like, you know what, my people like it. You gonna like it too. So it's not like, I really came, like today when I perform, I really come with this openness of like, I have something to share. You might like, you might not like, but it's something that you may never have been listening to. I really come with that knowledge because also I've been studying a lot of artists. I've been doing this for almost 15 years. And my approach is quite different. And I'm very, I would say proud even, because it didn't come easy for like a musician, singer-songwriter to kind of leave all of that knowledge, those chords, those hours that you sit with your guitar playing, your finger hurting and everything, to be able to say, you know what, I'm gonna try something else. It came with fear, but with also with maturity. So I think that this part that I am now, I find myself feeling guided. Since I was in Cameroon, my dreams got a bit wild, and in a lot of African spirituality, a lot of like, there's this knowledge that your ancestor communicates with you through your dreams. And since I am a mom, my dream have been really, the message in my dream have been very clear. And it has given me the stability, mental stability I need to kind of be like, what I'm doing here, I'm doing with a purpose. So even being in this space, it's quite intimidating. But I found that I'm like, I even want to cry now. Why do I want to cry? Sorry.
There's also space to cry. There's space for everything.
Sorry. I just feel like I'm very blessed.
Yeah.
It was a long journey, and just being able to perform at a place like this feel like a recognition.
Yeah.
It really does. And especially for somebody like myself, kind of ran away from Germany countless times after her mom brought her here. Yeah. and just be like, this place doesn't like me. I don't like this place.
Yeah.
Why do I,
Constant struggle, constant fighting.
Exactly.
And yeah.
And then we all live in a capitalistic world, so you need the money. So going back to Cameroon also meant that you don't love money. We all love money, and I had to like come to peace with myself. Be like, it's not that I don't love money, but I love myself more.
Yeah.
And I found that being in this new artistic practice that I am, I was really guided there, and I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for that trip back home, going back home and reconnecting with a past that was also very hurtful. And now just feeling like, okay, there's a wind that is pushing me. That's why I do improvisation, because I found that there's a type of spirit that just comes through and guides me in what I'm doing. It's really not I'm gonna do this and this and this. And of course I have a little plan. Like I like to think of my performances as like cooking experiences. Yeah.
So you have your little recipe, and then
Exactly.
you also leave some space for experimentation.
Exactly.
And
Like I have each ingredient. I know exactly like I want to bring this and this and this together, but I don't know how. And it's only while I'm doing it that I can actually figure it out.
The practice and practicing it. Yeah. Wow. The reason why I asked you how you are experiencing being back and sharing your work in Germany is, of course, also that in the larger systemic discourses, or discourses around systemic problems like racism and white supremacy, also here in Germany, we are living in this moment where it's more discussed, right, on a societal level, in society, in media.
Yeah.
But you were just sharing it on an individual level. You've gone through your own metamorphoses and developments. But how are you responding to this very moment also that is happening right now?
I'm not responding at all, to be honest. I find myself being a full-time mom.
That is your response, right? That's enough. I don't know what it's like. I have no idea.
Yeah, to be honest,
But,
the world is always going to be the world. That's something else I had to realize. I'm not going to be ending white supremacy or racism. Even with my performance where I touch so many people, I'm not going to do that. And something that is my obligation is to take care of my mental health. And to not slip back into that fight or flight mode, because it's not healthy. So I think that I take in very little information from the outside, just what is necessary, which type of mask to wear, that type of thing. But I try not to indulge too much in certain news. I think that, and while we were talking also about like Afro-American and being the reality here being also quite different, like the Afro-American experience is one of a kind, and it can give you like a light fat, and it can give you like an idea of what the black orientation of what the black experience was or is. But when you live here, particularly in Germany, Germany is very different from France. Like my mother tongue is French. I have a lot of cousins that speak French, but their understanding of also life is quite different, I find. So Germany is quite particular. And then the whole of the African continent got cut here. Like this, I like to find those synchronicities, because they help me to make sense a little bit of the world that I'm living in for myself, for example. And then the fact that we have here in Germany, one of the most powerful heads is a woman, which is, it's quite big. Like I was just thinking about that coming here. Like it's big because no other European power is at this point. And I think it also comes with the history of Germany and the fact that women, after the Second World War, a lot of women had to take charges of things and just be in command of certain things. And that now we have a woman doing this big job. And it kind of fills me with pride, if I'm honest, because coming also from Cameroon, in a place where women get so little respect, and do so much. They basically build the whole continent, still today. But they get so little recognition for actually their work. And then being in this place where this woman is at this place of power and being like, it's actually possible. Like, I found myself in those 2 seats and be like, this is actually possible. It's possible for me. I'm not thinking about the world at this point. I'm thinking about me, just being like in my own world, to be the leader and the deciding force behind everything that I choose to do. And I see that also in terms of what do I choose to engage with, or which type of news do I let into my space. Yeah.
You were just saying, and you know, you've mentioned Angela Merkel, who's actually residing right in the back there. So it's you know, and you've talked about the Akademie der Künste, the place we're sitting in right now, and we have all the, you know, European embassies around, French and American, non-European, but the British on the left side. And you will be performing here too, you know, and you mentioned like it can be a very impressive space, maybe also intimidating. When I was walking in today, on the right side in the entrance hall, you see pictures of all the members of the Academy of the Arts, you know, and it's divided by different disciplines, and you have fine arts like the
little pictures, they
little tiny Polaroid, almost like size pictures, and music and media arts, and so it's divided, you know, in different rubrics almost, and of course they're all white, and they have like maybe 1 or 2 non-Germans invited into it who are like non-white members, but there's, I don't think, maybe they have 1 or 2, I'm not sure, I have to look at it again, but it was like predominantly white, of course, right? So this is a white space in the end, and you come in here and you perform, and you said it can be impressive. Like, what, also thinking about your performance in June, how do you prepare for it? I mean, you were already talking about like you feel guided and you have your direction, but what role does space play? Because we were talking about sound in your practice. And what role will this space also play here?
Well, I feel like I was guided even to this place. Like, that's the thing. Like, I feel like my practice deserves to be here. And it's even like at home here, also because of the fact that it's in this city that the whole continent was cut. And also the cutting of the African continent made it to what it is today. Meaning the loss of languages, the loss of cultures, the fight in between countries. All of those things happen also in as a, how do you say Folge? As a consequence. Or as a consequence to that action that happened here in Berlin, of all the places. I think that that's why I also feel really more and more, the more I found about the real history, not the one we were taught at school, the very superficial one, but the real history, the more I find my place in the world. Blackness, I see blackness as a void. I see blackness as the beginning. I don't see blackness as a color of a skin. And that's why for me it's also very healing to be a sound artist, because sound, as I said, it can just infiltrate every place and just, it becomes you. Like, that's how you feel when you feel a song and you start dancing. It's not because you're thinking you should dance. It's because something comes over you and you just...
The vibrations enter.
It just catches something in there and then you are in there. I saw this beautiful documentary where they were like trying to bring headphones into Altenheimer. How do you say?
Like nurse. Well, Altenheim was like senior citizen homes, or like
senior citizens home, and they were putting it on, and all of a sudden, like, they became alive. You had this camera of this person who was
like
sitting
in a
like
wheelchair,
this.
like they're
Yes, completely. Just like you had this time lapse, and you were just sitting there for hours, people passing, not noticing, and then you put the headphones or you listen to music, and it's like you know, it speaks to our spirit, sounds.
Spirits, yeah.
It doesn't speak to our body. It's not logical. And I find myself being very blessed to be able to navigate it and share sounds that are also from different places to different people. And it's such a blessing to be playing in this. I'm looking forward, I'm telling you.
Me too.
I'm so looking forward. I think it's going to be amazing. I think it's going to be really amazing. I hope we get people. I hope people can actually be here and be part of this experience. Because we all need that. We all need a little bit of healing, and we all need the sense that things are moving forward. Yeah, that we are not. That we are not stuck in that story.
You mentioned that buzzword healing. It's being used a lot in different contexts, contemporary art, but also maybe even in larger societal circles. What is, I always struggle with asking a question around healing, because what is healing? You know, is it literally the wound that is, you know, you cut and then it takes those weeks and months to build new layers of skin? Or is it a process? Is it ever ending? We go to, I don't know, Charité, one of the biggest hospitals in Berlin, and look at patients who are very sick and they're being healed by doctors. Like, what is healing?
Well, I can only talk for me, right? Yeah. My healing was definitely this process that I mentioned to you, like growing up here, like this break that happened, being in Cameroon, coming here, and then the silence, the anxiety that came with the silence, and with the lack of life also, because that's one thing that Africa is, it's life. It's just constantly living, everything. Like the smells come from things that are like getting bad, but it's meaning life, right? So this lack of life that the city ultimately does to all of us, it kind of kills the life a little bit in us, because we are constantly surrounded by metal and things that are not quite natural.
Concrete and steel.
Exactly.
Concrete jungle, huh?
Concrete jungle, exactly. And you have to remember, we are all flesh, we are all natural. There's nothing more natural than like human flesh and bones and blood, right? Because almost all living species have that structure of skin and DNA, basically. And I think that for me, it was definitely getting rid of understanding of myself. That was brought up a lot from outside, right? From the home, where you're brought up, what one tells you about who you're supposed to be because you're a woman or because you're black. In school, I was taught what I was supposed to be because I'm black, because I'm African. At home, I was taught what I'm supposed to be because I'm a woman. I grew up with 2 older brothers, so no sisters. That's the thing. You see, so there was a lot of healing in terms of just getting rid of those idea of who I'm supposed to be that needed to happen. And like I said, I've been a city child. Like I grew up in Yaoundé, and being here also, well, Karlsruhe is kind of a city. So it's a city.
And there's a lot of art happening too in Karlsruhe.
Yes, ZKM, all of those things. It's beautiful, beautiful things. Still quite small if you compare it to Yaoundé. But I think it's just this thing that you want to fit in, but you want to fit in with your whole personality, with the person that you are completely. And since you have all this knowledge of who you're supposed to be, you constantly feel like, but I'm not quite this person. You know. And for me, the healing happened when I was able to get rid of that. Get rid of like the
layers, or the
layers, the
false masks.
Exactly, the understanding of who I'm supposed to be in the society, to actually be accepted, to actually be respected.
So healing is indeed, in your terms, something that is not like pathological necessarily. Like once you're very, very sick, you know, it's something that actually all of us constantly somewhat go through or should go through.
I think we are all going through it. If we consciously or subconsciously, we are all going through a healing process, because once we are born into society, there's this prehistory that comes, because you have to explain. I see that with my child now. I have to explain to her what things are, right?
Right, yes.
So
Yes.
you have to explain, it comes out of love. It doesn't come out of hurt. I don't think that, parents want to hurt. I don't think that even the educational system wants to hurt the children. It just comes out of a need to give them the proper tools to be able to function, right? And I think, unfortunately, because of the way things have been created, we are constantly in this state of like wondering who we really are. And we were talking about white supremacy, and it's something that needs to be acknowledged. And spaces like this are perfect for that. That needs a little bit of humility, which can be hard because when you have too much power, you become very rigid also. And that's where femininity, for me at least, came in, because I realized that I was losing my femininity also because I was trying to be so many things and prove and play so many roles. And when I mean femininity, I mean fluidity. Just be able to flow with things and situations and not trying to...
So a certain queerness or like a...
Exactly,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's something that is happening more and more, like we are talking about it. For me, it was definitely understanding that nothing has to be the way that you have been taught. And that was the healing. That's where the healing started to happen. I mean, it's still happening. I'm not sure it's like a process, because...
No, because we always, and it's true, I mean, there is sickness, and people need to be healed on a severe level and, be seen by medical experts or whatever, but it has so many layers to it, and you were talking about mental health as well, and then how important it is to have stability in that, to be a human being, to be with your community, to function in a healthy way.
I mean, we all love each other. That's what I assume.
Yeah.
Because we are, I wouldn't, not even because I don't know you that well, but I wish you happiness. I really, truly wish.
Wish all of us.
I truly wish you happiness. And I think that can only happen through a sense of you deserve to heal from whatever is bothering you. And we need that space. And I found myself being when I perform, one of my biggest hope is definitely that I am creating a space for somebody to listen and to go in within themselves. Because the healing, the deep healing, I think, can only happen with yourself. Yeah. You can go to a therapist, you can get the tools, you can go to a doctor, you can get the tools, you can even get operation and everything removed. But at the end, when you go back to yourself, you still have to implement those tools on a daily basis. And that's
and it's
what
because
happens.
I was recently listening to a doctor, right, a professional doctor speak, and he was saying something like, actually doctors only assist in healing, and it's true. Where you even with, sometimes I had to understand for myself, I still project into doctors this whole they're gonna heal, but no, they have a lot of knowledge maybe, that can be questioned sometimes too, but they assist.
Exactly.
And then we can assist each other, on other levels too. And sound seems to be a very good medium to do it, and that's why I'm super excited to listen to your sound piece in June, right? Yeah,
I'm looking forward. I think it's going to be nice.
I
think we're going to do a great thing here.
In this space here. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Elsa.
Thank you, Magnus.
Okay. Dankeschön, merci.